graders, and welcome to lesson 65 on decimal parts of a meter. So a meter is the basic unit of length in metric, or it's about one big step, which is about 3 feet long. So in the US customary system, we measure length in feet, but in metric, they use the meter. And remember that 1 meter is bigger than a foot. It's about 3 feet total. So let's look at, here we have a meter. Well, this isn't an actual meter, but we're pretending that from here to here is a meter, which is the same length as about a yardstick. And with this meter, it's broken up into smaller pieces. So if I were to break a meter into 10 pieces, which are, if you counted each of these lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you were to break it into 10 pieces, we would call each of those decimeters. And remember that deci means 10, okay? So if we split it into 10 pieces, they would be, those are called the decimeters. If we split each of those subsections into 10 more pieces, then we have centimeters. And remember, centi means 100, because 10 times 10 is 100, which means that if there's 10 decimeters in a meter, there's 100 centimeters. Most rulers are labeled with a cm, and that stands for centimeters. So these numbers, 10, that means 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters. And that centi is the 100, which gives us the clue. There's going to be 100 in a meter. Now, if we were to go one step further and break each of these 10, this little spot right here, the centimeters, into 10 pieces, we would get millimeters, and milli means 1,000. So on this right here, they didn't even show millimeters because it would be too small to put them in. But on your rulers, you usually see centimeters and millimeters. The great thing about metric is everything works on a system of 10, so it's really easy to keep track of it and remember it. If we were to write measurements in metric using decimals, okay, then it's going to be really, really easy, because we remember that deci means tens, centi means hundreds, millis means thousands. So let's look at a decimal right here. This would be the ones place in our value, okay? And the ones place is going to be represented by the meter, however many meters there are. And then when we get into the decimals, the amount of decimeters would go into this tenths place. And I'm just going to write deci. You can fill in the meter part, which means that here would be the centi, and here would be the milli. And this makes total sense, because remember, this is the tenths place. Deci means 10. This is the hundredths place. Centi means 100. And this is the thousandths place. And milli means 1,000. So if you get stuck on that, you could just write yourself a little chart to remind you. Let's look at an example. So 40 centimeters is how many decimeters? So in order to write 40 centimeters, okay, that means that my last number is going to end in my centi column. So 40 centimeters is going to be written like that. So looking at that right there, it's really easy to figure out how many decimeters would that be? 4. Now the other way that I can do that is I can always multiply or divide by a power of 10. So let's remember that if we're coming from a smaller label to a bigger label, so 1,000 to 10, then I would need to divide. And if I'm going from a bigger label, such as meters or decimeters, down to a smaller label like centimeters or millimeters, then I would need to multiply. So looking at this right here, if I'm going from centimeters to decimeters, my decimal is moving one place to the left, which is the same thing as dividing by 10. So whenever I'm going from a smaller to a bigger label, I'm going to divide. What about 55 centimeters in, it's supposed to say is, how many millimeters? So if I started at centimeters and I'm going to millimeters, then I know that I'm going to have to multiply because there's more millimeters than centimeters. So 55 centimeters is, I'm going to move my decimal one place, multiplying by 10, and I'm going to be adding another 0, is 550 millimeters. Now I could also figure that out by putting it in my chart up here. Okay, so if I had 55 centimeters, it means I'm going to want it to end here. So let's say I had 55 centimeters, and I want to know how many millimeters. Well, that means that I need to come all the way to this spot, so I'm going to add a 0, and I get 550 millimeters. Chad is 1 meter plus 35 centimeters tall. What is his height in meters? So I need to convert everything to meters. 1 is already in meters. Let's convert the 35 centimeters to meters. So 35 centimeters, we're just going to have to write it as a decimal as a percent of a meter. And looking up here, we realize that for centi, it's going to end on this second decimal place right here. So that means that I have 1 meter, and then my 35 centimeters is going to be 0.35, so I end in the hundredths spot. All right, Sam is 1 meter plus 41 centimeters tall. What is her height in meters? So go ahead and follow the same step that I did here and figure out what that will be. And now there's one more type of problem. So here I have 23 centimeters equals how many millimeters? That's what this written this way is saying. So we have 23 centimeters, and I want to know how many millimeters that is. You can either write it out with the chart to figure out how to get to millimeters, or you can think about whether you need to multiply or divide. So you can use whichever system you would like to try to solve these problems as well. I look forward to seeing what you bring to class. Go ahead and get to work.